Hi there, I'm Sneha and you are watching my channel Book Junction. Welcome to today's video. So today's video is very special because I'm going to talk about a very special book, and the book is The Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda ji. Now this book is very special to me. It's really very dear to me, and I found a lot of comments on my recent videos that were all about this book. You wanted me to review this book, so I'm here. But I want to make it very clear that this is not a review of this book. I don't know how to review such a profound book. I cannot do that, but I can definitely talk about the book, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to share with you my experiences and what exactly this book is all about, but it's not a review. Don't use the word review for this video because it's not. So yeah, let's get started, and I really hope that you will enjoy this video. So I think first of all, it's very important for me to share with you how I got introduced to this book and why this book is so dear to me. So I think I came across this book first time on the Beer Biceps channel. I was watching one of the Ranveer's podcasts, and I came across this book, and he talked about how this book introduced him to spirituality and how this book is very important for everyone. So that's when I came across this book, and after thinking a lot, I finally bought this book, and I did do my research. Of course, I read about it everywhere on internet, and I saw that a lot of people have said the same thing, that you should definitely read this book. Then there are so many profound people, some great personalities who have also read this book and talked about this book a lot. For example, Steve Jobs, he read this book and he loved it. Then we have Virat Kohli, who loved this book so much that he also took it to Twitter and told his fans to read this book. So there are so many people who have read this book and who have enjoyed this book so much, and that was something that really pushed me to finally read this book, and I am so happy that I did it. Now the reason why this book is so dear to me is because it definitely introduced me to spirituality. And trust me when I say this, I was an atheist. I was absolutely against the idea of God or anything close to God. I was not a person like that, and I think a lot of you will relate to this. Now there are some things that I want to make as clear as possible, and that is that you cannot have a closed mind or a narrow mind and read this book. It won't be a good experience if you will be narrow-minded and read this book. You will just end up not liking this book because obviously you did not quite open yourself to the book and the ideas that are shared in the book. So you have to be open-minded. You have to believe that yes, there are things that are beyond your understanding and they can be true. So just keep this in mind before you pick this book up. And the next thing that I want to tell you is that spirituality is very different from religiousness. So if you're not that into religion and religious stuff, it's fine. You don't have to be religious to read this book. Spirituality is very different from religion. In fact, it's just so different. It's like they are poles apart. So yes, it's fine if you are not religious. I'm also not religious, but I'm totally into spirituality. So now let's talk about the book and what this is all about. So the book starts with Yogananda ji's childhood, and we get to see what kind of a child he was. Now his parents were big disciples of Lahiri Mahasaya. We will get to know more about Lahiri Mahasaya in this book. So Lahiri Mahasaya was the guru of Yogananda ji's parents, and when Yogananda ji was born, they took him to Lahiri Mahasaya, and Lahiri Mahasaya sort of gave this prophecy that Yogananda ji will become a great yogi and that he will have an amazing spiritual journey ahead. So this was sort of Lahiri Mahasaya's prophecy for Yogananda ji, and right from his childhood, Yogananda ji always used to get these visions, and he used to visualize yogis doing yoga and just meditating, and he used to get a lot of visions about different things and also about his guru. So there are all these visions that he used to get. So right from his childhood, he was definitely destined for a very different path. So he gets these visions, and all these visions are sort of like, it just makes up for a map. It's a map for him and his spiritual journey. So eventually he is sort of attracted towards his guru and attracted towards a very different path. And since he gets all these visions, he is so curious to find about all of this, and that's why he tries to elope and go to Himalayas to find his guru and to meditate and to become a yogi. And that's why he elopes numerous times. But since he is a boy, he always has to finally come back because his parents send people to find him, and they make him promise that he won't ever elope, and all of these things are shared in the book. So that's definitely very adorable, and I think that is very different also for us, because he was such a young boy, and even then he had this idea about his future. He knew that there is something that he needs to find, there's something that he's born for. He was purposeful, and he knew that he has to go in search for something. Anyway, so the story continues. Now, after the death of his mother, he finally gets this feeling that it is the right time for him to go and search for his true self. This is the time for him to finally go and search for his guru. And even about his mother's death, he did get this vision about his mother's death. So all of these things sum up, and he finally goes to find his guru and to find his true self. And when he comes across his guru, it's like they were never apart. It's like they were always together. So there is an instant connection between him and his guru, and the way he has described it in the book is absolutely profound. So let's now understand the lineage of gurus. It's very important in the book, so that's why it's very important for us to know. So Yogananda ji's guru was Swami Shri Yukteswar ji, and Yukteswar ji's guru was Lahiri Mahashay, who was also the guru of Yogananda ji's parents, and Lahiri Mahashay's guru was Mahavatar Babaji. This book introduces us to Kriya Yoga, and Mahavatar Babaji was the one who sort of resurrected the Kriya Yoga. He was the one who taught it to Lahiri Mahashay, and then from Lahiri Mahashay it came to Yogananda ji. So they taught Kriya Yoga, and Kriya Yoga is the yoga of actions basically. There are different forms of yoga, and such is Kriya Yoga. It is very, very profound, and with the power of concentration and the power of all these mudras and mantras, one can achieve some supernatural powers that are absolutely outwardly. Now I want to make it very clear that Kriya Yoga is not taught in this book, because these yogas cannot be taught in general like that. To learn Kriya Yoga, you have to find a spiritual guru. Only then you can learn such yogas, because there has to be a relationship of a disciple and guru. Without that, it's not possible to learn Kriya Yoga, or in fact any forms of advanced yogas. So for that you need a guru. So that's why the yoga is not taught in the book, but definitely a lot of stuff has been shared about the yoga, what it's like, you know, the mantras, the mudras, and the stories. So a lot of things will be there in the book for you to understand more about Kriya Yoga. So anyway, finally when Yogananda ji becomes the disciple of his guru, his spiritual journey begins, and he starts to learn more about the yoga, and his life is completely changed after that. And we also get to learn a lot of lessons from the book, the things that were taught to him by his guru. And there are many lessons, and one of them is definitely my favorite, and I want to share it with you as well. So Yogananda ji's guru Yukteswar ji was an expert, and he used to understand and know everything that would come into the mind of Yogananda ji. So there is this part where Yogananda ji is thinking about killing a mosquito, and Yukteswar ji just understands it, and he asks Yogananda ji that why didn't he kill the mosquito? If he was thinking about it, then why didn't he kill it? So Yogananda ji was like, I mean, we are not supposed to kill animals or insects or any kinds of creatures, right? So that's why I didn't. So to that Yukteswar ji says that, but you thought about killing it. So what's the difference? It doesn't matter if you actually go ahead and kill the mosquito. You thought about killing it, and that's all. So basically we get to learn that actions are no different from words and no different from thoughts. So what you think is basically what you are doing. Your thoughts are equal to your actions, and that's why if you're thinking a negative thing about someone, it doesn't really matter if you go ahead and do it. You have already thought about it, you have already instilled it in your system, and if you have already affected your karma. So it was a great lesson, and it just means that you have to purify your mind, you have to purify your thought process as well. It doesn't matter if you avenge something or not. If you are already thinking about revenge, then you have already, contaminated your mind and heart and soul. So just like that, there are so many lessons in the book, and as the spiritual journey of Yogananda ji continues, we get to see that he travels a lot, he meets different various great personalities, and it's really an amazing feeling to read about all of that, him meeting such great personalities and sharing his wisdom, and it's amazing. So I loved all of that. Now there was also a prophecy by Lahiri Mahasaya. He prophesied that after 50 years of his death, someone will write about his story, someone will write about this yoga, this Kriya Yoga, and make the world aware of the greatness of the Eastern wisdom and Eastern philosophies. So exactly that happened. Suddenly there was this time when Yogananda ji felt this immense urge that he should share his knowledge, he should share his experience with the Western world and the Eastern world, so that people are more aware of yoga. So when it comes to the lessons that you will learn from the book, the first and the foremost lesson is self-realization. Now it's very important to believe that there is something bigger than us. There is something that is profound enough for us that we don't really know what it is, but there is something that is definitely bigger than us. Otherwise we will become egocentric, we will become egomaniacs basically. And it's very important to have an anchor, and that anchor is usually the guru or the God himself. So it's very important to have an anchor in life. That is why spirituality is important. A lot of times we are just lost in life, we are directionless, we don't know, and it's not really about money and fame. Even rich people are lost and directionless. So it's not about money, it's about having an anchor in life. So sometimes you need that anchor, and that is spirituality, that is God, that is your guru. So that's why you need something in which you believe that is bigger than you, so that you are anchored to life, you don't lose yourself. So that is something that I learned from this book, to realize that yourself is attached to something bigger that may not make sense right now, but it is true in fact. So have belief that there is something bigger than you and you are a part of it. That is self-realization in my opinion, and that's what I understood from the book. The second thing that you will learn from the book, and in the very initial part, is that words are very, very powerful, and it is very important for you to use your words in a very responsible manner. You have to be careful with your words. So there is this part where Yogananda ji is talking to his sister, and his sister has got a boil, a blister. So Yogananda ji says that tomorrow I will also get a boil, and his sister is like, oh, you know everything what will happen in the future, you have all these prophecies, and you know the relationship of any ordinary siblings. So they get into sort of a fight, and then Yogananda ji, as he is a boy, he gets angry and he gets irritated, and he says to his sister that okay, tomorrow I will get a boil and your boil will get double of its size. And he says it in anger, and his sister is like, oh, that's not gonna happen. But the next day exactly that happens. He gets a boil and his sister's boil gets double the size of it, and then his sister freaks out and she goes to her mother and she cries a lot and says that Yogananda ji said something like this and it happened. So to this, their mother told to Yogananda ji to always be very careful of his words, to always choose his words very carefully, because words are powerful. Now in no sense am I saying that whatever you say will happen. If you say something bad about something, it will happen. but for them it happened. And sometimes in real life also, with us also, it happens sometimes that you say, you know, this will happen, and it happens. That's why it is very, very important that you have command and control over what you say. Don't say anything irresponsibly. Don't use negative words in your life. Try to switch words, try to substitute words with good words, positive words that, you know, that raise your frequency. And the third lesson was that thoughts equals to actions. I already shared that about the mosquito part, and that was something really profound. So these were the main 3 lessons that I took from the book. Now I definitely want to give you a heads up about the language of the book. It's pretty difficult. It's not that simple. It's not written in easy English. I don't have any idea about the Hindi version or any regional version. Maybe those will be easier, I don't really know, but the English version is pretty damn difficult. It's not that easy. So I just want you to understand that it's okay. You don't have to read this book in the same way like you read other books. You don't have to finish this book in a few days or weeks. Take an entire year for this book. Read a few pages every day, but understand and try to absorb every single lesson. So don't rush through it. Take your time, read it, enjoy it, understand it, and just try to become a better person. Try to understand what spirituality is and connect with your soul and heart. So I really hope that I could do justice to this book. I have so much more to say, but I don't want to make this video an hour long. So I really hope that you found this video valuable and enjoyed it. If you did, then definitely make sure that you hit on the like button and subscribe to my channel if you found my content good enough, and hit the bell icon so you are notified with all the notifications. And I'll see you in my next video. Until then, bye bye.